One of the things that we're going to talk about first is administrative features of PowerStation. And when you go into PowerStation, here in this yellow guy right here, you can also see how you can do your credential mapping credentials. But when you're up here on profile, there's also this thing here that says user submitted support requests. So that if you have submitted report requests, so things like this isn't working or whatever, you can open this up. It will give you a ID and a description of all of the tickets that you have entered. And that way you can actually look at them. It will also give you an indication of what their status is. So when you go to enter tickets, as you find problems like credentials aren't working, you can then find them in here. So to enter a new ticket, there's this question mark button up here, and you can hit report an issue. And so once you report an issue, you can say, unable to log in using my demo, OASIS demo credentials. You can upload an image if you have a screenshot that you want to associate with it. And you can put what other information you want in here. And once you hit submit, that will be sent to us. You'll see these little snack bars that come up. These are to help you know what's going on in the system. So these are other things to make you aware. This is letting you know that the support ticket was saved to the database and that will be reviewed promptly. And as you come in here, if we look down here and we look at our support requests, I should be able to see I am unable to log in using my OASIS demo credentials. And then you can actually come over here and kind of check the status of your tickets as you go. So that is one administrative feature. The other administrative feature is if you end up needing to reset your OASIS credentials, which we're talking about right now. And in addition, if you need to know who you're logged in as or set up your phone number. The phone number is going to be important if you want to have any alerts come to you via text message. So if you have this blank in your system right now, you will not be getting text message alerts. So I highly recommend that everyone go in, put in the phone number and who your carrier is so that those messages will come to you once you actually start setting up alerts for transmission. Let's go ahead and I'm going to actually start with TransNow first because I kind of want to talk to you guys about how our grids work. Most of our grids work very similarly. There are a couple that on the right-hand side of the grid, there's your little toolkits. And what these allow you to do is if you only want to customize your view that you're looking at for yourself. So like I happen to be looking at this particular thing in TransNow, just so that you know, I'm looking at the TSR details. And in TSR details, up at the top, there are these dashboards that you can use to limit the data that you're looking at. But in addition, the grids themselves can continue to limit the data and you can organize the grids in a fashion that is specific to you. So for example, right now I'm looking at TSRs for Benton County. It doesn't really make sense for me to have a customer code on here because they're always going to be the same. So maybe I don't want to actually display this information. Over here in this columns, I can pick and choose which columns I want to display, which columns I don't. I can actually use this little dotted, looks like a grid thing, to drag columns into a particular order. Maybe I want the status or the request type up front, and then I want the POR, POD. Maybe I want the provider up by the AREF. And so I can drag the columns around this way and pick and choose which columns that I would like to see here based on what's important to me. So there's a lot of columns that by default don't necessarily show, but if they're important to you and you want to see them, you can actually just come in here and you can click on them. Like some people like to see like the service increment, the class type, the period, the window, the subclass, etc. And so, and then just to make this little thing go away, you can actually just hit the columns thing, and then you'll see all that information here towards the end. The class, the type, the period, the window, the subclass, etc. So that is one piece. The second piece is there's a thing here called filters. This is nice because it allows you to actually come in and filter on the columns. You can filter on the columns directly above almost every grid. So like maybe here I only wanted to see redirect. I can do that and I can type that in straight here, or I can click on this little filter button. that allows me to say, if I say select all, allows me to see everything that's even available in here. So I couldn't unselect everything and maybe I only want to see originals or whatever. What this does over here on this side is lets you know if there is a column that has been filtered, because sometimes you're looking and you don't necessarily see that you typed, let's say, I typed a 1 in here and I can't see why I don't have any of my TSRs showing. Opening this up will help you to see which columns actually have filters on them just in case. In addition, it also allows you to come in and do the same kind of filtering that you can do up here. You can actually put contains, you can add multiple things. You can say, I want things that start with a B. You can say and contains and R. And so you can actually add more and more filters to this if necessary to really help you whittle down your features. Layout here, this is so that you can save the layout that you're looking at yourself. This is particular for each user. So if you hit save, it will save for you. If for whatever reason you want it to restore to what it originally looked like, you can just hit the restore button. Another feature that these grids have that for me becomes really important is allowing you to be able to actually make things bigger or smaller. But better than that is there's this little menu that comes up on each guy on the right. And if you click on it, you can auto size your columns. And this becomes really important when some of these guys that you look at them, they have a lot of data on the screen and there's a lot of white space showing. And if you say auto size all columns, it'll auto size them all for you automatically. So you don't have to go in and actually, you know, make these smaller and bigger, for each guy. So that feature comes in handy a lot, especially when you're looking at something that has something where you've got everything's kind of all uniform, all set to the same size. And so when you get into the screen, everything looks big like this and you don't have as much stuff for real estate to show, and having to go in one at a time, especially for like things that like have hourly data or something in them. It definitely helps to be able to the menu I option and just say auto size all columns, so it'll squish everything up. You can also move these columns around as much as you want by dragging and dropping. The other feature that we have here is sorting. So you can sort on a column. You get a little arrow showing whether you're sorting up or sorting down. And you can actually sort on multiple columns. So like if I wanted to sort by, let's say, provider, and then within provider, I wanted to sort by request type, I can just hit the shift click and that allows me to then sort on that, and it'll give you a number as to what it's sorting. If you shift click a second time on that column, it'll make it go ascending or descending or turn off. But that way you can have up to, I think you can have up to 5 or 6 sorts so that you can just keep sorting however you need. So this can become really powerful, especially when you want to have things sorted in a particular way because of how you are looking at your TSRs. Most all of our grids work this exact same way. And on our screens where you see labels up here, these are dashboards. So when the dashboard screens, each of these little dashboard things that's up here allows you, they're like different tabs, quote unquote. You can see different data, and the layout that is within each one is specific to each dashboard. So for like this particular one, I'm looking at it, I want to see these things prioritized and see these columns. And maybe for this one, I want to see a different set. Again, you can see how like this one, everything's kind of all uniformed out. You can then say auto size and that'll squish stuff up so you can see more data. We do have help files under this question mark. You can go into these help files and some of them actually have videos associated with them. There's questions and answers. But if you come down here, it'll tell you little sheets on how to set up things. So this can be really helpful, especially when you guys are not used to doing something because you did it once and you don't remember how to go back and deal with it again. It'll actually come in and help you with, okay, where do I go to do particular things? Some of them have little videos associated with them, so you can actually come in here and do a little tutorial. So for example, this one is submitting a support ticket, and there's a little tutorial on how you can go ahead and do that. There is a sound associated with it too. And then it goes through and it shows you can make them bigger if you would actually like to see better. These help you to set up templates really quickly. They don't exist on all power station screens. So for example, when we were just looking at the TSR details screen, you don't see a templates toolbox here, but on some of the screens, on the resale redirect screen, you will see little template boxes. And what these do is allow you to set up templates for items that you are going to do on a regular basis. So for example, this screen here is the real-time screen for doing trans assignments and redirections. And the way that you get to this screen is through the Trans Now application. So up here, you would have picked Trans Now. And then over here on the left-hand side, you'll have your menu items here. I happen to be looking at the real-time resale and redirect. This screen, it looks very different from the day ahead just because the things that you do in day ahead are a little bit different than what you do in real time. This screen is it's a way for you to quickly and easily reassign if you have transmission that you have for multiple customers. So for in this particular case, you can kind of see the example I'm using here is like TEA. TEA does the Energy Authority. They create TSRs and handle transmission for multiple customers. And so they sometimes need to use their customer code to do things, and sometimes they need to use TEAs. So they may have a customer code. Benton County happens to be under TEA. They may want to be able to do something with this. So they may want to trans-assign that particular TSR to them. This screen allows you to do both trans-assigning and redirecting. But it also is nice because if you do not do trans assigns and you only do redirecting, there's a little minus up here. That makes the trans assign piece go away so that you don't have to look at it. Because if it just takes up real estate on your screen, if that is not a feature that you guys are using. And then to just get it back, you can hit the plus. That allows you to have this come back up. These things in the center here are the templates I was talking about. So for example, if you were doing trans assigns and you wanted to create a template, you could then put the name of the PUD here, the sale ref that they use, and a reassignment. And then this name here is just the name that they put in here. So like I could put here TMU and put a sales ref 12345 and call this TransAlta and hit save. And then that will then show up in here so that if I pick a TSR, I can quickly just hit this and it will automatically change the customer code and the seller reference ID and everything for you. And so that you can quickly and easily just do it, click it, and then submit it. Over here, we have a template that allows you to have different things set up that you do all the time. Like for this particular customer, they switch between John Day and Cobb and John Day a lot. I mean, these are PUR, PUD combinations that they use all the time. And so this allows you to set them up. FastPath, the way you get to it is from coming right here under FastPath. There are several different screens in FastPath. There's the FastPath, which is the old FastPath. It's very simple, and I'll show it to you in a second. There's TSR activity. This TSR activity is the same that goes through all of our screens. So it's just the TSRs that are existing out there so that you don't have to go between applications to look back and forth for, TSR information. And then there's the FastPath dashboard, which this dashboard actually allows you to set up your transmission filtering very quickly and easily. So if I was looking at the old main screen, this screen allows you to come in and set up a fetch criteria for what you need. So for example, if you were looking for availability on Friday all day long, Friday 00 to Saturday 00. All right, so that lets you choose the time and date. It allows you to put in how many legs, the maximum legs you want to look at. Defaults it to 3, but if you wanted to look, if you needed 5 or 6 legs, you could put it in there. It just makes it a little bit slower. It allows you to put your class in here if you want. You can actually put a star, but this helps to firm it down. You can choose from firm, non-firm, network, or secondary. So if like right now, we're just going to look for non-firm. It's going to look for hourly point to point. I'm putting stars for period and window, and I'm looking for a minimum of 10 megawatts. And so when I say fetch routes, what it'll go off and do is it will find all of the routes that exist where there is availability, at least 10 megawatts available between Palo Verde 500 and Four Corners, and this is them. You can then sort by the number of legs that there are. It looks like everything is returning 3 legs, probably because that's only what's available for tomorrow. Probably if we went out a little bit further, we might see some that have less legs. You can look at it on a map. So there's a map here that also lets you see going from Palo Verde here over to Four Corners, the different ways to get there. So if you want to see it broken down, you can see exactly how much is available on each guy and what the exact offer price is for each guy. So when you come look at these little guys, you can see how far out stuff is available. And if you hover over it, you can see each hour how much is available. 112, 116, 115, 112. Here you can see it hops up right here at hour ending 10. And so then what happens at this point is once you find transmission that you would like, you can click it and then you can hit reserve. This will bring up a wizard that fills out as much information as it possibly can for you based on the various segments that you picked in your path. And then you can come in and set a profile for each of these. So maybe I really only want 10 megawatts, the heavy load hours, and I can put that in here and save and close. It will make the other guys default to that. So if I come in here to the second segment of my path, I will have that as a default here, but I don't have to take it. If I want my paths to have different values, because like, let's say I already have some reserved on this particular path, I don't need all 10, I only need 4, I can go ahead and do that here and overwrite what I've got here so that I can still keep this at the 10 and the second one at the 4. And then when you come over here to finish, what this does is it actually gives you a overview of everything and shows you each of your paths, exactly the POR POD, the path name, the services that you're using, the provider, and it also shows you your profile. So at this point, you can then reserve now. So if I hit submit reservations, it would reserve now. I can reserve in the future. So I can pick a time in the future where I want to reserve this. Or like BPA isn't available till, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I don't want to reserve this till 10 o'clock tomorrow. So I can set it up like that. Or I can just say reserve when available, because if there isn't anything available right now, but I'm hoping that if there is something that becomes available, it'll go off and get it for me. And we'll go ahead and keep looking for that. Is I can also alert. So this alert would be set up and then it would be texted to me when it became available.